Courtney Bonneau, let's look at the things that you saw today. You've been visiting multiple locations where there was violations. What happened?
Yeah, so today I drove up like the back way to Kfarkela, which takes you through like Taiba and Odaise. And I noticed some construction trucks like going down the road, and I thought that's bizarre. Where is the cement truck going? And then I noticed some cars behind the wall, and it looked like they're definitely doing construction in Odaise. And then I drove farther on and I checked with my big lens Hammamet Hill, which is the illegal outpost in Wazani. And it looked to me like they were doing construction and expanding the base, because this is what they do. They're expanding their bases. They're illegal bases on Lebanese soil.
Hey everybody, this is Laith Marouf with Hadi Hotait from Free Palestine TV. Hadi is back from Iran, I'm back from Iraq. There's been a lot that has developed in Lebanon. We're going to try to cover as much of it as possible in this field report. But before we continue, I ask you to press the subscribe button on whatever social media platform you're watching this on, and to go to our website, freepalestine.video, to donate so we can continue bringing you these reports. Over the last week and somewhat since the end of the 12-day war between the Zionist colony, the United States, and Iran, the Zionists have increased their attacks on Lebanon to almost a daily occurrence, with huge waves of bombardment that reached the edges of Beirut city, Khalda, the southern entrance of the city. And a lot of pressure is mounting in the Western media and with American politicians about disarming Hezbollah. So we are going to go out in the field and meet a few of our friends to give us their opinions and their analysis about this. The first person we're going to be talking to about this is Ali Jezzini, the military analyst from al-Mayadeen. You've seen him multiple times on our shows here. We're going to be heading right now to a coffee shop to meet him, to speak quickly about what does this mean, this increase in Israeli attacks and increase of pressure on disarming Hezbollah. So we are in the coffee shop called 60 Coffee Shop on the waterfront of Saida, and we had the chance to grab Ali Jezzini, the security and military analyst, for a quick interview before you go to your work at al-Mayadeen television. Thank you, Ali, for having this minted lemonade with us.
Thank you for hosting me again.
So a few things that we want the audience to understand. A few days ago, there was all this pressure on Lebanon to quote-unquote disarm Hezbollah. And we heard threats from the supposed talks between al-Julani and the Israelis that they'll give al-Julani and the Wahhabi death squads North Lebanon. All of this pressuring to have Hezbollah basically disarm. And yesterday, the envoy of the Emperor Trump arrived here, envoy Barak. He had a press conference at both the President and the Prime Minister's office. Tell us, all this talk about disarming Hezbollah, what does it really mean, and what's the response of Hezbollah to this pressure?
Well, to begin with, actually, there was, as you already mentioned, there was like an unprecedented media campaign that was multifaceted, multi-level, with using the so-called alternative media financed by the West, the local Lebanese media that are also financed by the Western institutions and the Saudis. The Saudi embassy itself actually guided a lot of that to actually instigate fear, to try to like make the it was not directed towards Hezbollah itself because they know what they have and they know the situation and they're well aware of the balance of power. But it was mostly directed towards Hezbollah's supporter base and civilians to try to push them to pressure the Hezbollah into entering talks aimed at disarming the party. Well, we could see the results of Barak's visit from multiple angles. He could be bluffing. First of all, he could be bluffing like Witkoff did with Iran, like Witkoff did with Hamas, like multiple times, like even before the September attacks on Lebanon, the so-called Black Monday. There were talks also about this war is going to end, we're heading to a ceasefire. Netanyahu is just going to the UN to actually announce his acceptance to the ceasefire, and then all this happened. This is one theory, so what I'm saying is, I'm not saying that there will be definitely a war. It's still I think it's still a 50-50, and there is a lot of caveats to what a war means. It may not mean a full-scale war, but like a bombing campaign, 100, 200 air raids, if they want to do it. But to say, it's more to say that it doesn't mean anything. Don't actually, that's a lesson that we all should know, that the rules of international law, so-called international law, the facade that they have been doing, that in the past century, that, okay, when there are talks, there are no war, this has changed. You cannot take it neither positively nor negatively that there were talks. That's from a first point. Second point was that he was trying to put the whole issue on the Lebanese society, saying, because the military campaign of Israel, hasn't been that successful during the last period into pressuring Hezbollah to lower its tone even, and not to mention to disarm. So the pressure here was like diverting it from, an outside element, which might, according to them, give the resistance legitimacy to the internal Lebanese society. Carrot and stick, in the sense that he said that Hezbollah is a part of the Lebanese society and so on and so forth, so Lebanese government takes responsibility. That's not like necessarily a good thing. That's basically saying whatever economic sanctions you're going to receive, whatever happens to you, it is your own responsibility to try to cause...
And he at the same time mentioned the ship of the new Middle East that's leaving with Syria and all these countries doing what they want, and that if you could lose this chance. So on the one hand, we had this pressure on the Lebanese government to do something about the arms of Hezbollah, and at the same time there's all those threats of ISIS-style invasion of northern Lebanon. I mean, the lesson that everybody here in Lebanon learned from Syria is that if you're not armed and these Wahhabi death squads come at you, you're dead.
Yeah, definitely. That's one way to look at it, in the sense that you need to be armed. But at the same time, I don't take these threats seriously coming from Syria, because I can estimate, based on what has been destroyed and based on like what they have, the risks that accompany such an attack, even on al-Jilani's system himself, that hasn't managed to stabilize his regime. So like such losses and such attack would be too dangerous for him. I'm not like counting on his good intentions or whatsoever, but it's just not is a good time. Plus there is no signs or indications from the Syrians themselves that they're gonna go and do such a thing. The Syrian the authorities of Damascus at the moment. It might happen in the future. I'm not saying, especially that Barak actually in Jordan, I think 2 months ago, he already talked like Sykes-Picot, criticizing it. I thought for a second it's Anton Saadi, that's the SSMP secretary reincarnated in Barak. We were unjust in dividing these lines and so on and so forth. Decolonization. Yeah, it was very funny. So no, I think there is actually a plan in the future for the US on the long term to actually annex northern Lebanon, but not at the moment. It's really still not possible, to Syria and maybe even Jordan, because as a monarchy, it's still based around the king doing his job, protecting, the eastern most largest borders of occupied Palestine. So he's doing his job. He might succeed, he might not. Since the oil revenues are dropping in the Gulf, and they can't do as they did 20 years ago, to just when a country has trouble of their allies, they just can throw billions and billions of dollars. No, they even when they're talking about Syria, they're saying now hundreds of billions, 200 million. So point is, it's becoming very, very inefficient as a country, since it has no industrial, no natural resources. So we can expect in the future, even trying to, dismantle the Jordanian monarchy and annex it to Syria, because also it's much easier to control such an ethnic, larger entity as in Syria. Or maybe even we're talking about Iraq with their attempts to dismantle the PMF, to eventually push the Sunnis of Iraq and the eastern and central regions to demand to also be a part of, Jolani Syria. That might be a possibility based on what he's talking. Coming back to Lebanon, that is the big picture. Coming back to Lebanon, I'm not really sure what's going to be the Israeli next step, but it's not just about, military pressure. It's a combination, multi-level action based on economic sanctions, based on internal political pressure, and based on also military pressure done by the Israelis. Because if you have a mandate over Lebanon, like they have now, they need military force to enforce it, which is, the Lebanese army is currently incapable, and not only incapable, but unwilling to do so, because it would threaten the whole existence and the core of the, the Lebanese state, or let's say post-French mandate entity with its current room borders.
Well, we also, of course, had the speech by Said Naim Qasim about that they will not be disarming. So that's that. Thank you very much, Ali, for this quick recap of what just happened over the last few days in regards to the quote-unquote disarmament of Hezbollah in Lebanon. And we'll see you soon, inshallah.
Yeah, inshallah. Thank you.
We're heading right now to the borders with Occupied Palestine. We're going to go meet our good friend, photojournalist Courtney Bonneau. She has been on the front line this whole time, so we're hoping to get an update from her on the violations she witnessed over the last week, and what had happened to her yesterday during the press conference of the American envoy Barak at the Sarai, the Prime Minister's residence in Beirut. Courtney Bonneau, a photojournalist. You've been on our shows before. Thank you very much for joining us in the south of Lebanon. We're right on the border with Occupied Palestine, overlooking Kfarkela. Beside us is a UN base here. I don't think they're that happy that we're here.
I think they're irritated, yeah, because it's all the second time that I've been here today, and they're like, come on.
We're going to let them do some work, you
Yeah.
know, because otherwise they're just sitting there idly and doing nothing.
Yeah,
We've been away for a while, me and Hadi, out of Beirut and Lebanon, and we missed a lot. But we don't want you to give us a whole rundown of what happened while we're away. I know that the audience would love it, but Let's look at the things that you saw today. You've been visiting multiple locations where there was violations. What happened?
Yeah, so today I drove up like the back way to Kfarkela, which takes you through like Taiba and Odaisi. And I noticed some construction trucks like going down the road, and I thought that's bizarre. Where is the cement truck going? And then I noticed some cars behind the wall, and it looked like they're definitely doing construction in Odaisi. And then I drove farther on, and I checked with my big lens Hammamet Hill, which is the illegal outpost in Wazani. And it looked to me like they were doing construction and expanding the base, because this is what they do. They're expanding their bases. They're illegal bases on Lebanese soil. And I found out from a colleague later that they're actually making another base. So it's not even expansion of the existing illegal base. They are making a whole new one. And they started construction 2 days ago. And that was where the cement truck went. That was where he was going.
Wow.
Yeah.
And there was other violations here today with the Israeli group going in and trying to make a door and a road. But we're gonna go right now to the flag of Ya Hussein, and we'll
another violation, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, another bomb. They hit it with a drone.
Let's go and look at it.
Yeah.
Now. Okay.
What you're seeing now is Hammamet Hill, which is one of the illegal Israeli outposts here in Lebanon. And what you see now is them further expanding, doing construction on this supposedly temporary illegal military point. It's an occupied area.
This is under us the ruins of Kfarkela, and across from there is the Israeli base and the colony of Matalla.
The Matula settlement, yeah.
We're gonna walk down, so maybe the wind will die down as we're walking.
Please don't film me falling down the hill.
Yeah.
Unless it would be like fun for a bloopers reel, like.
So yesterday and today there was some Israeli military incursions.
Yes. Last night they bombed the sign which says Ya Hussein for the period of Ashura, the religious ceremony where they have ceremonies every day for 10 days during the month of Muharram. I was actually here on the day that they were putting the sign together, and they raised the flag right before Ashura started. And then I saw last night around 11:45 p.m. that the Israelis sent a drone over to bomb it, to cut the electricity from it, because it lights up at night. It's like so beautiful. But they want to take all joy away from people.
So yeah, Ya Hussein, O Hussein, and it's a call, of course, because of the martyrdom of Hussein that's being commemorated in Ashura. And obviously the Zionists like to not only take the joy out of people, but their project is Jewish supremacy. So they do not want anyone to exhibit their religious beliefs in such a big way, overlooking this Zionist colony. It ruins their belief in their supremacy. And there's pieces of it all down here.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. And on the side as well.
Wow.
Ali and I came down here earlier today to film the destroyed part of the sign, because we had been here on that first day.
And this is one of the biggest flags that are up now on the border.
Yeah.
And again, this must be burning inside their heart, that they can't force the people in Lebanon, the Shia population here, to give up on their own religious beliefs and to believe that somehow these people are more supreme than them.
Well, the chosen people, right?
Chosen people.
We were here, like I said, that day where they were raising the flag and doing preparations, and I'm very, we're privileged that they allowed us to come up to witness this and to document it. And a drone came over. There was a drone flying over Saida, who was reciting prayers, like just to terrorize. It's just to terrorize.
And they had the procession of 2,000 somewhat people that came to Kfarkela, which was one of the largest, I think, processions of Ashura in the south of Lebanon this year. So that was a show of defiance.
Yes.
We heard that they also tried to cut a new path, the Israeli military.
Yes.
Can
They
we
did
see
do
that
that.
place where they tried to?
I can't see it from here right now. I don't see it, but my lenses are like.
Yeah,
wrong
but
prescription.
it clearly.
But
is
they
it
have
this
their-
place?
It's near the Fatima Gate.
The Fatima Gate.
Usually, people were not allowed to enter it, so they didn't get like for 100 to 200 meters.
Yeah, and the Lebanese army was just sitting and watching.
That's true. Actually, I would like to bring up another point, if you don't mind, regarding that. Last week, 11 days ago, they infiltrated Kfarkela and they went all the way, now I'm turned around. They came almost a kilometer into the town. They rigged a house with C4 and then they detonate it. There's a base there and there's a UN base there. So how did they come that far into the town without permission?
Without
Somebody
permission.
must have known that they were here.
And the Lebanese army, of course, has the right to fight them back if they want to.
They don't.
They don't fight them back, but they have the right to fight them back. As
They don't.
You mean from their bosses, probably?
They're not allowed to engage.
Yeah.
This is what I understand.
Yeah, of course. You know, any Lebanese soldier can have some decency and refuse the false orders
He
that
could.
stop them and defend their land, but they
This
don't.
is a death sentence, though.
Yeah, yeah. It is a choice. Resistance is a choice.
Yes.
That is one of the endings of it is martyrdom. But if you don't resist, then you have these wild dogs crossing and doing whatever they want to, as they did. There was another story that I think everybody should know about.
What story is that? Did something happen?
Something happened, yes.
What are you talking
Yes.
about?
So yesterday we had the envoy of Emperor Trump.
Well, that's same thing.
His name is Barak, which
Thomas Barak, yeah.
only time I hear the name Barak usually is an Israeli, but who knows. And he was here.
Yeah.
And you managed to go to the press conference
Yeah.
with the Prime Minister. There's something there that happened. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so I knew that he was coming and I decided to leave Genoub and go to Beirut to go to Israel because it's my right. I'm a journalist. And my experiences there have been good. Also at the presidential palace, people are friendly, they're helpful. Like, I've had nothing but good experiences there, to be honest. But yesterday, I was filming downstairs, waiting for the convoy to arrive. And I was filming with my phone because it's superior to my camera for video. And we're waiting and waiting. I spoke to one of the security members and I said, I'd like to ask a question, like, can I do that? Is that possible? I want to ask. And I'd been telling some of my colleagues I wanted to ask about the ceasefire violations and the murders that are happening every day. So I said, can I do this? Because I don't like to break protocol. I want to follow the rules, you know that. And he said, yes, of course you can ask. He said, I can't guarantee that he will answer you, but you can certainly ask. You're a journalist. And I said, okay, cool. So we go upstairs to the conference room and people are filming. And I understand that, I understand now after today that we shouldn't like be talking or asking questions in that room. But the guy had told me explicitly that I could, and this is why I asked. I started to ask the question, Mr. Barak, will you take a question? And as I was filming and talking, I felt someone grab my stomach, like the fatty part of my stomach. Don't zoom in on my fat. And then like...
They call them love handles.
But I have more than that. Like, and he pinched me and he was like, nah, like I was a dog. And it happened like really, really fast, but I was still like, I didn't see his face. I didn't know who he was. I was like, what the hell? Like, what happened? That was so weird. And I continued to film for a little while and then I left. So I needed to come back to Sur. And when I left, I was talking to some of my friends. I was like, you're never going to believe what happened. Some guy like pinched my stomach. Like, what the fuck is that? Sorry for swearing. And I said, like, yeah, he made me feel like fat. Like, he made me feel bad, like self-conscious. And one of my colleagues, a French colleague, she was like, that's assault, brother. Like,
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, it is. And I think that I've been living in such a hostile environment for so long, being shot at, being bombed, that this behavior felt, normal. Like, عادي, يعني, like, this is normal, it's fine, but it's not. This is a government office.
It's physical assault.
Yeah.
And they could have just told you to stop,
He
or
could
put
have
this
said, please, no
hand in front of
questions.
the camera, or
anything.
something like that.
He could have done anything. And then this guy gave a statement to An-Nahar, and An-Nahar didn't talk to me.
It's a newspaper that is associated with Saudi and Qatari money, yes.
But they have revised the article, because when I found it, I got on the phone with them immediately. I said, what is this? You didn't even speak
so
to me.
they were published online without having a comment from you.
Right. That's what made me upset. And that's how I found out the guy's identity. I didn't know who he was. So today I got a call from Paul Marcos, who was a very nice guy, very sweet, very friendly, very courteous. He said, this is unacceptable. If it happened, and I said, not if it happened, it did happen.
And this is a person who's in charge of the security, I guess. Paul
He is
Marcos, you
the
said?
Minister of Information.
Minister of Information,
Yeah,
yes.
he was very nice. And he said that he himself is going to investigate it. So I hope that they have, a competent team.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of times when all these international visitors come, the journalists here in Lebanon don't ask tough questions. They self-censor. So we need people to ask the tough questions. And
well, I asked my colleague, sorry to interrupt, I asked my colleague about the meeting earlier in the day at Babda, at the presidential palace. And he told me that not a single journalist asked about the Israeli ceasefire violations. Like, I wanted to ask, give me a comment on this and the 200 murders that have happened since the ceasefire. And none of the journalists asked in that meeting either. Not a single one.
Well, this is why independent journalists specifically have a space and a duty to deliver that the corporate or government media journalists have no space to do. And we know how much salaries and jobs have been cut, and people lost their jobs for asking questions. And we commend your courage, and we would love to continue having you as a guest with us.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Courtney.
Thank you.
And we'll see you soon, inshallah.
Absolutely.
So that was our quick tour in the south of Lebanon with our friends Ali Jezzini and Courtney Bonneau. This is Laith Marouf with Hadi Hotait behind the wheel. We will continue bringing you more and more updates of what's happening in Lebanon. Hopefully we will be also traveling to other places in the region. I'll ask you to, one more time, press the subscribe button on whatever social media platform you're watching this on, and to visit our website freepalestine.video to donate so we can bring you this content. Until we see you next time, we bid you all a free Palestine.